Well, today's episode is going to be a little interesting. We're only going to do two reviews. The first one is going to be ChocoPro 295 with three matches, a three-way, and two tag team matches. And then, of course, we got New Japan Pro Wrestling with Battle in the Valley. We got some amazing matches taking place, not to mention both the strong openweight championships on the line and the strong openweight tag team titles. But I think the bigger events that are expecting is, of course, we got the loser leave New Japan Pro Wrestling. Will Jay White stay, or will Eddie Kingston will never wrestle in the New Japan ring ever again? But also, we have the IWGP World Television title be defended for the first time ever. Zack Sabre Jr. defends it against Clark Connors, and of course, we got the two double main events. The first one's going to be the IWGP Women's Championship. Kyrie defends her title against Mercedes Moni. This was a match that many of us have been expecting, and hopefully, this was going to be one heck of a match we're going to enjoy. And not to mention, bit of a old rivalry, feud, friendly competition, however you want to call it. The IWGP World Heavyweight title will be on the line. Kazuchika Okada faces against the Ace. In old classic rivalry, these two guys have been, but they're willing to put a good show for everyone. And of course, we got some news updates to tell you what's going on. Some interesting developments with All Japan Pro Wrestling, Yuji Nagata, and of course, some matches that have been booked for two independent promotions. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome, everybody, to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard. So, welcome to the channel, everybody. If you're new, then welcome aboard. So, you guys are going to have some interesting reviews taking place. Now, our first review, for those who have been following, we got, of course, ChocoPro 295. This is day two of this weekend. It opened up with Balinaki giving the announcement, and also it was already confirmed what we have been expecting the last time we did a Choco Pro review. Mei Suga, who was unable to participate, fell ill. She was not unable to make it to the last show. They weren't 100% sure if she'll make it for this one for 295, but unfortunately it did not, so it was confirmed, and they found a last minute replacement. And that was, of course, the match that starts up. It was a three-way match. We have Chiko Shikawa versus Saki from Colors, and then, of course, Kenoka, who claims that he is Mei Shiruga. Now, those who are new or don't know, or those who had not been following, don't understand what is that supposed to mean. Well, I'll explain. Last year, about months ago, Mei Shiruga got under the skin of Ken Oka. Now, Ken Oka, who is the founder of Gambari Pro, one of the most independent promotions and part of the Wrestle Universe, and Cyberfight owns them. Ken Oka has this theme song called Bad Communications, where there's a phrase that goes, whoa, 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 bad communications. Well, Mei Shiruga decided to go say that phrase, whoa, 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 I'm Big Apple. So basically, that pissed him off. Now, when Mei Shiruga was out doing her little excursion here in the States, Kenoka decided to play a little game saying that he is Mei Shiruga. And of course, those who don't like Mei Shiruga were enjoying this. But of course, Mei Shiruga, when she came back, she had to deal with Kenoka with his little malicious act. So it was very interesting. Not to mention Balinaki, who played the referee. I don't know what he was gonna do. I think for Chi and Saki are like, really? You're calling him Mei Shiruga? But you probably would guess that Ken Oka would have done every move that of course May Sugar would do. That's always what he does. He likes to mimic her. And fortunately, that's what allowed Kenoka to win the match by using one of May Sugar's moves on Chieko Ishikawa. And I think it was an embarrassment loss for both Chi and Saki that way, but it was she who took the fall. So that's how it plays out. Now, our next match is a championship match. These titles are not sanctioned from Gauto Move at all. They're from I don't know what promotion these are from. This is the AWGC tag team titles. The Man Bros, Jeff Mann and Kevin Mann, put these titles on the line against Black Komanagi, consistent of Tokiko Kirihara and Antonio Honda. Now, we know that Black Komanagi had made plays for the tag titles on few occasions, a few times with the Best Bros, ones with CDK. For them, this is an opportunity to gain some tag team titles from another place. But the obvious thing is, will the Man Bros allow them to walk away with them? The answer to that is no. Now, much of the usual tricks that Black Kamanachi would try to apply in order to try to gain these titles did not work in their favors one way or the other. Basically, it kind of failed them. So it took only a sharpshooter by Jeff Mann to put away Tokiko Kara in order for her to tap out. So basically, the Man Bros retain the titles. Now, our next match, we have Sayaka Obihiro teaming up with Rochi Sakin versus Masahiro Takanashi and Balanaki. Now, this guy Sakin, from what Balian described, is that this guy he left the pro wrestling world due to an injury. He just moved to the countryside and works in a farm. He's an actual farmer from what he described, but he also got married as well. So basically, he was living a simple, normal life away from pro wrestling. But now that he's here, originally he was supposed to have a match with Masahiro Takanashi. It never happened due to the fact of the pandemic. So now that he's back, it kind of fits in perfectly. And I thought this match was going to be decent due to the fact that I don't know how much ring rust this guy Sekin has, but it was a diving body splash by Banaki to Sayaka Obihiro that allowed them to win the match. So basically, it was a good effort by both Balian and Amasa, but Sekin lost this match on his return match. So we don't know if we'll be able to see him again. We just gotta wait and see what the wrestling gods have to say. Now for a Jonkin tournament, this one was a very difficult one to grasp. I wasn't too sure, but there's always the beginner's luck. I was surprised that it was Kevin Mann who actually won the chocolate. So this is, like I said, beginner's luck. The day before they sucked, but Kevin Mann was able to get this one and got away with the chocolate. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for ChocoPro. Let's move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle in the Valley. Uh, Originally, I did not get to see it on the day it came out due to the fact they were having technical difficulties, so I thought it'd be best to wait it out. And I have to say, this was a pretty good show, not gonna lie. Our opening match is a 4-on-4 tag team match. First team, we have the DKC, Kevin Knight, Volador Jr., and of course, Time Splinter himself, Kushida. I thought it was great to see them together, but their opponents is Adrian Quest, Mascara Dorada, Rocky Romero, and Josh Alexander. So basically, yes, Josh Alexander, our current Impact Wrestling World Champion, was present, and not to mention, Scott D'Amore was there too, doing his commentary when Alexander was there. Now, much of this match seems like it was focused on, as you guys have been aware or not, Rocky Romero is the current CML World Welterweight Champion. He actually won that belt against Volador Jr. Now, you probably can guess right away that Volador Jr. will never forget that loss that he suffered. But basically, Rocky Romero is bringing out a side of him where he wants to stomp Volador Jr. because I'm sure Volador Jr. would definitely want to have another shot of that title. But in this case, it was, of course, um, Kevin Knight who picked up the win by applying the pendulum DDT onto Adrian Quest. He picked up the win for his team. But however, in post match, Volador Jr. made it perfect clear in the upcoming CMML event. He wants another crack at Rock and Roll, but this time he's putting his hair on the line, so it's going to be a hair versus hair. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, our next match, we have the Strong Openweight Championship. We have Kenta of the Bullet Club taking on Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosser. This match was a brutal match. You probably could have guessed it. I mean, you probably thought, oh, somehow Fred Rosser was going to win since he was able to. However, things did not go according to plan for Fred Rosser. That piece of garbage, Juice Robinson, showed up and gave the left hand of God right in his face while the referee was knocked down. But in the process, he actually Kenta applied the GTS to put Fred Rosser to sleep and become our brand new strong openweight champion. Now, for the record on that, he is the first ever Japanese born to win this title. Now, this title normally is defended here in the U.S., so we most likely will see Kenta defend that title. But however, this particular GTS move was a direct message to someone who was attendance. If you guys don't know who I'm referring to, I'm talking about CM Punk. CM Punk was there. There were photos. If you guys were not aware of that, then you know. It's all over social media. I don't know if this was a direct message for him to say, hey, I do a better GTS than you. That's always been the case. And of course, Kenta has always been proving that he does the GTS better than him. So I don't know who would win the argument, but if New Japan and AEW were able to put them in the match, make it happen. See who makes the better GTS. Now, our next match, we have the strong openweight tag team titles. We have the West Coast Wrecking Crew, Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs taking on the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. Now, Nelson and Isaacs has always been proven that they are the true pillars of tag teams in New Japan Strong. If you guys remember, they were the ones that started this whole thing from the very get-go. But many of you may question, why is it that they never got the opportunities titles to begin with? Well, it's because, things did not go according to plan for them. I mean, they should have been the first champions, but no. But Motor City Machine Guns, as you know, they have been one of the most well-recognized tag teams in the world, not to mention held every title here and there. But it was, of course, the dirty bomb onto Nelson that allowed for the Motor City Machine Guns to retain the titles. Now, our next match is a loser leaves New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, this is between Jay White and Eddie Kingston. As you remember, Jay White has been very adamant, trying to get into the skin of Eddie Kingston. So, this is basically both men's careers are on the line, but one of them gets to stay. The other one is going to have to get their asses handed to them in a way. Eddie Kingston and Jay White, I have to say, what a match. It really, really put up a hell of a moment, telling us, okay, who's going to stay. And it took, I think, what was it? A Northern Light Driver by Eddie Kingston. It took two of them to put away Jay White to pick up the win. Now, as soon as that happened, when it was over, Eddie Kingston already left, but it left Jay White in the middle of the ring to give his promo, but it was never happened due to the malicious attack by David Finlay. We don't know what he's saying, that, he tells him that the F his era, all this and that, and he says that if he was like saying all this stuff, but maybe we're seeing him now turn into heel. So we'll see what takes place for that. Now, our next match, we had a filthy rules match between Tom Lawler and Homicide. This is one of those matches where Tom Lawler thinks that Homicide's not a fighter. I mean, the guy has ways of fighting it. Like, he's brutal, vicious, all the things he does. Sorry, my clipboard came off. So in the basic line, what's happening? There was no ropes. Basically, nothing. You brought in tables, ladders, chairs, and whatever, but it took only a chokehold for Tom Lawler to put away Homicide, giving him the win. So that kind of sets it in. But is this over between them? Hopefully it is. If not, then Tom Lawler is in front of, is not even in it. Now, our next match. Sorry. Keep knocking my clipboard with my notes. Anyway, I'm such a butterfinger here, folks. Our next match is the IWGP World Television title. This is Zack Sabre Jr.'s first title defense in this title, and the person that answered the call was none other than the Rhino himself, Clark Connors. It was a pretty good match. I would have assumed this match could have gone into a 15-minute time limit where it's decided by a flip for it. But man, it was so insane. Now, we know that Zack Sabre Jr. knows how to put up a good submission onto guys like Clark Connors, but Clark Connors has learned a lot from one particular person. That is, of course, the most dangerous man. We're talking about Ken Shamrock. He even put Zack Sabre Jr. in the ankle lock, but it was countered by an armbar, and Clark Connors had no other choice but to tap out, and it lasted up to 14 minutes and 6 seconds. So that's a good timing right there. I'm not gonna lie about that. So it was great. Now our next match, number co-main event, we have the IWGP Women's Championship between Mercedes Moné and Kairi. Now, the last time this title was defended, many people were critical about it because it only lasted 5 minutes. Uh, the theory was that they were trying to build up the story for this particular moment with Mercedes Moné, and I think we're going to see that. But man, this match was amazing. But what I did like is the story about how Sasha Banks, or should I say Mercedes Moné, comes out dressed up as Hana Kimura, paying tribute to her. I'll get to that in a bit. It was a great moment, but the match was great. I have to say, not gonna lie about it. It went exactly. It was like a masterpiece, in my opinion, the way I saw it. It was a good match, but it took the moneymaker for Mercedes Moné to put away Kairi and become our brand new IWGP Women's Champion. Many people thought maybe this was going to happen because keep in mind, Kairi is not a full-time wrestler. I mean, she does have a business outside of wrestling. Maybe that's the reason this title was dropped to begin with. But one thing I did like is how many people were praising Mercedes Moné when she dressed up as Hana, due to the fact that um, I'm sure that she never met her, but I'm sure she knew of her. Hana was a very important wrestler that many fans adored and loved. Um, Jungle Kiona thanked her for keeping that memory alive. And of course, Jungle Kiona mentioned how much Hana Kimura admired Mercedes when she was as Sasha Banks back in WWE. But many fans are now questioning this whole thing. They're questioning, what does Julia have to say about this? Because if you notice, Julia has been using one of Hana Kimura's moves after she passed, and not to mention try to emulate her recently. So basically, we could see a war between who has the right to emulate Hana Kimura. I think that's one of the key things we may expect some point down the line. But I'm only speculating here, so we'll see about that. Now, our next main event, our co-main event, is going to be the IWGP World Heavyweight Title. We have the Ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, versus Konosuke Takeshi, um, Kaguchika, Kaguchika Okada. Now, what I like about this match, these two guys know each other too well. They fought together, they fought against each other. There was moments where Okada did like where he was sacrificing his knees, tried to block the high five flow from Tanahashi, but it wasn't worth it. The answer to that, it is. But it took a rainmaker for him to put away Tanahashi to retain the title. So I thought it was a pretty good match. And not to mention in the promo, he said that he would like to make the Dream Team reunite and go for the IWGP Tag Team titles. That's kind of cool. But apparently someone wanted to share the spotlight with Okada, and that person is our brand new IWGP Women's Champion. And we're talking about Mercedes Moné. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. And not to mention, we could see those two I mean, the possibilities they could team up at if we do get another historic crossover event. That's something we're definitely going to see if that's the case. Because we saw Tanahashi how he teamed up with Utami Hayashida. I mean, originally it was supposed to be Mayu, but they put her in the IWGP Women's Championship contingency. But you know how that is. So I have to say it was a pretty good show. I liked it. It was a lot of fun. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's move on with news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. So this is what we have so far. Now, as you know, we had All Japan Pro Wrestling with the recent event. I haven't seen the event. I know I've been talking about this recently about Unagi Sayaka making her presence known. Well, in All Japan Pro Wrestling, they announced is that time again every year the return of the Carnival Champions. Now, those who are new to the channel, those who don't follow All Japan Pro Wrestling, let me tell what this is. The Carnival Champion is an annual tournament to determine who will win a shot for the Triple Crown Championship, which is the top title of All Japan Pro Wrestling. And they distinguish with 2 blocks by 16 competitors. Um, from my understanding, the entire event will stretch from April 8th all the way to May 7th. So that'll be like almost a month for now. This is who they have for each of the blocks. Now, for Block A, we have Yumi Oyagi, Cyrus, Ruki Honda, Kento Kihara, Jun Saito, T-Hawk, and Yoshitatsu, and then of course we have an X. Now we don't know who this person will be. It could be anybody. Now for our B block, we have Yuma Anzai, Shotaro Ashino, Shuji Ishikawa, Naoya Numura, Hokuto Omori, Rei Sato, Suwama, and another X. So basically, 16 competitors, 8 in each block. So, like I said, this starts on the 8th of April, ends on the 7th of May. So I'm looking forward to this. Let's see what happens then. Now, speaking of All Japan Pro Wrestling, when this was announced, they also had the Triple Crown Championship. Kento Kihara defended the belt against Yuji Nagata, and of course, Yuji Nagata won the match. And here's the best part about this: Yuji Nagata is now the 5th wrestler, not only to become the Triple Crown Champion, but also to held the GHC Heavyweight Championship, the top title of Pro Wrestling Noah, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, and now the Triple Crown Championship. This is something good. So he is the 5th. Now, if you ask me, who are the other members? Well, we have Kensuke Sasaki, Yoshihiro Takagama, Keiji Muto, and Satoshi Kojima. So these are the 4 that already held all 3 titles, and now is in fact Yuji Nagata the 5th. Now this same thing applies with the junior heavyweight division. I know that Naomichi Marufuji has held all 3 titles: the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, and of course the Junior Heavyweight Championship with All Japan Pro Wrestling. So that's no secret to me. So now you know. Interesting match has been announced for Prestige Wrestling for Hybrid Threes that takes place on the 2nd to 6th of April. The Prestige Championship will be on the line. Alex Shelley defends it against someone who is now proclaiming he is the ace of Prestige Wrestling. We're talking about the formerly known as 5, Alan Angels. Now, Alan Angels is the current Garden State Pro Openweight Champion. I wouldn't be surprised if he finds a way to cheat this match and win the title. Now, speaking of another match, West Coast Pro has announced for the Home of Killers on the 7th of April, Leo Rush will be facing against Alpha Zoe. So we have interesting matches that have been set. I can't wait to see how this one plays out. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for now. I'll see you guys. Well, let's just call it a day right here. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. I'm sorry I was only able to do two of these things. Some things came up, but I was able to get this one done. I made, of course, New Japan a priority. I'm not 100% sure if I want to review Elimination Chamber, but if you guys want me to, just leave a comment down below. Just tell me, I'll do it. If that's the case. But however, there are some events I haven't reviewed. That there's the GCW latest event, middle night, middle of the night. This one called Midwest All Stars Wrestling, Ma, I think that's what they call it. And I forgot what other things, but there's that. Also, there is a press conference by Stardom. I'll be talking about that a little bit. What matches will be taking place? This is part of the March 4th event, and we'll go from there. So that's about it. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.